Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and this is my 8.1.5 Demonology Warlock DPS guide. In it, I will be covering Azerite traits, talents, rotations, pets, and a few other things along the way for both Mythic Plus and raid settings. I will also be releasing my Destruction and Affliction videos over the course of this coming week, so if you're interested in those and want to help support the channel, feel free to smash that subscribe button. I will place timestamps in the description which highlight specific points in the video if you want to skip to them specifically. If you're interested in any of the week auras or add-ons you see here, I'll have a link to my Twitch in the description as well, where you can find them all. Now let's get right into it. Let's start off with Demonology in Mythic Plus. Even before the initial explosive potential buffs, Demonology was the best spec we had access to for Mythic Plus, then EP made us completely insane for a period of time. The thing is, even after the EP nerfs, EP is still a very strong trait, and Demonology is still the best spec damage-wise we have when it comes to Mythic Plus. This is the current talent build that most are running for keys currently. In the first row we have the choice of either Bioscourge Bombers or Demonic Strength, and the winner here overall is Bioscourge Bombers. Yes, it does cost 2 soul shards, but it's also only on a 30-second CD versus Demonic Strength being 1 minute. The burst damage it brings is exceptionally powerful, while also giving you the option of casting it on a trash pack and having it off CD for reaping as well once the pack dies, which is typically not something that Demonic Strength can do, with its cooldown effectively being twice as long as Bombers. There are also a few niche cases where Demonic Strength can be better, like if the tank is kiting a lot, but overall Bombers is the clear-cut winner here. Demonic Calling is really the only option we have in the 30 row. Power Siphon is not in a great place at the moment, sadly, and Doom takes 25 seconds to deal any damage, which is effectively a dead trait in Mythic Plus outside of bosses. I prefer Burning Rush in the 45 row for added mobility, but will often swap the Dark Pact and higher keys for an additional cooldown. In the 60 row, our only real choice for Mythic Plus is Soul Strike, as it provides another spell we can cast on the move, while also generating a shard on a pretty low cooldown. It can also allow us to set up a Tyrant pretty quickly when time is limited. The 75 row is another utility-based row, and most of the time I choose Dark Fury for Mythic Plus, but would not fault you for taking Mortal Coil or even Circle at times. AoE stuns are always valuable, especially on raging or necrotic weeks, and Dark Fury plays very well by reducing Shadow Fury's cooldown with them. In the 90 row we technically have two choices, one being Soul Conduit and the other being Grimoire Felguard. Soul Conduit offers a bit more smoothing over the course of the run, as well as the potential for some pretty insane Hand of Gul'dan / Implosion chains or large tyrants in general. Grimoire Felguard is on a 2-minute CD, but offers a great bit of on-demand burst damage for large pulls, reaping waves, or boss openers. In the end, they're both very close to one another, and it mostly comes down to playstyle. I do prefer Felguard a bit more on fortified or teaming weeks, but have played both to great success. And finally, in the final row, our only real option at the moment is Demonic Consumption. Sadly, Sack Souls has fallen out of favor recently, and Nether Portal, while an awesome talent, is just too hard to set up in Mythic Plus with all of the movement present. That, coupled with the fact that it's on a 3-minute cooldown versus Consumption being 1.5 minutes, makes Demonic Consumption that much more valuable in Mythic Plus. As far as Azerite traits go in Mythic Plus, Explosive Potential is going to be what you want to prioritize at 2 or more stacks. Baleful Invocation is also strong even at 2 or more stacks, but it is tied to a 1.5 minute CD versus EP being effectively a permanent buff. The first stack of Baleful Invocation is extremely important to acquire, however, as the 5 shards it grants is exceptionally powerful. Demonic Meteor is also a strong choice for Mythic Plus due to its increased Hand of Gul'dan splash damage, and the 5% chance is also nice to have around, which can lead to some insane hand into Tyrant sequencing. Outside of those few traits, other traits like Supreme Commander, Treacherous Covenant, Blightborn Infusion, Endless Hunger, and similar stat-based ones are strong as well. I'll place a link in the description to the most recent Blood Mallet Demonology sims if you're interested. Just be aware of Treacherous Covenant's actual downside. The current set that I'm after for Mythic Plus will consist of triple Explosive Potential, 1 Demonic Meteor, 1 Baleful Invocation, and 1 additional trait that's strong, probably like another Meteor, another Baleful, or a Treacherous / Blightborn / stat proc trait. Now, as far as actual trinkets go, acquiring a Balefire branch from Waycrest Manor is something you really want to do. It has a 1.5 minute CD, which is the same as your Tyrant, so you can always use both of them together. There are thankfully other options when it comes to your second trinket, however. Seeing as how Balefire Branch is an on-use trinket, your other one should be an equipped trinket if at all possible. Having 2 on-use trinkets and using one puts the other on a 20-second cooldown, thus not allowing the use of both of them at the same time. This leads to your second on-use sitting off CD for longer than it should. Trinkets such as Lady Wakecrest Music Box, Contra Dark Whispers, Crest of Paku, and Incandescent Sliver are all solid options, but your best choice will most likely come down to eye level if you have more than one option. It is worth noting that even though a trinket like Music Box might sim higher than your Crest of Paku, it's typically worth wearing a stat-based trinket in Mythic Plus over pure single target ones like the Music Box, barring there being a massive eye level discrepancy. The Implosion Rotation is something that I get a lot of questions about both on stream as well as in Discord, so I felt that it would be a good idea to cover it here. You effectively want to implode with either 2 or 3 sets of imps, which depends on your actual procs. If you don't have any actual demonic core procs, you want to build the 5 shards, cast Hand of Gul'dan, then either Soul Strike or Shadow Bolt, Hand of Gul'dan once more, Shadow Bolt, and then implode. Casting the final Shadow Bolt allows time for your imps to spawn from the second hand, as they are not instant. If you have 2 or more demonic core procs, you would then build the 5 shards and cast Hand of Gul'dan, Demon Bolt, Hand of Gul'dan, Demon Bolt, followed by one final Hand of Gul'dan, Shadow Bolt, and then Implosion. This is the 3-wave Hand of Gul'dan cycle that we mentioned. Obviously, imploding here will refresh your EP, but make sure not to enter an Implosion cycle with very little time left on your current EP. Now looking at talents for raiding and BOD currently, this is the generic decon build that mostly everyone is running. Beware. Demonic Strength gets the nod over Biosparge Bombers in the first row due to its similar single target damage output and the fact that it does not cost any soul shards. In the 30 row, Demonic Calling is still the choice that the vast majority are playing with for a few reasons, even though Doom is technically the highest DPS choice by a small margin. In the 45 row, Burning Rush is the de facto choice as the additional movement speed it provides is very strong on basically every raid encounter. Soul Strike is still the choice in the 60 row here over Vile Fiend due to how it functions with Demonic Consumption and for the utility it provides, especially on the move. Demonic Circle is basically the default choice on almost every raid encounter as well, for a few reasons. It effectively allows you to cheese certain mechanics like the knockup on Mythic Mechatork, while also providing an instant teleport, which saves you time on the move to name a few of them. In the 90 row, we once again have the Soul Conduit versus Grimoire Felguard conundrum, but most have gone with Soul Conduit at this point, as it can lead to some very large demonic tyrants if RNG is actually on your side. The additional refunds, even when Tyrant is on CD, are also nice, and it's not tied to a 2-minute CD like Felguard is. Finally, in the last row, Demonic Consumption is once again the only real choice or option we have here at this point as Demonology. As mentioned, the Soul Conduit build, especially with a Demonic Meteor Azerite piece, can lead to some extremely large Tyrants, in addition to your Tyrant being a 1.5-minute CD, which is something we don't see very often. Looking at both Affliction and Destruction's cooldowns, their large CDs are on a 3-minute timer, which means Demonology effectively has twice the amount of CD uptime if you're saving your Dark Souls for 3-minute CDs with Av and Destro. This is one of the reasons as to why, even after the EP nerf, Demonology is still a strong choice on a handful of raid encounters such as Mythic Jaina or Mythic Mechatork. Now as far as actual Azerite traits go, Triple Explosive Potential is once again a very strong option, as it is effectively a permanent buff for your character as long as you can maintain the buff. You certainly want one Baleful Invocation piece as well for the additional Demon Fire damage, but mainly the 5 shards it gives you. As mentioned before, multiple Baleful traits aren't actually the worst choice, as the Demon Fire damage buff it brings is also very strong. A stronger case can even be made in raid situations, as they tend, at times, to be a bit more single target oriented than Mythic Plus, but is still a strong option in both. Treacherous Covenant is another great option for raiding, and I feel also holds a decent bit more value in raids than it does Mythic Plus. Your health pool tends not to fluctuate as much in raids than it does in Mythic Plus, which brings with it a higher uptime. Having one Demonic Meteor piece, even for single target fights, is strong as well, as it can provide an additional shard refund when setting out for your Tyrant, which can further increase its overall power. The additional damage is minor, but shard refunds are also RNG, and the 5% chance is what we're really after here. Once again, traits like Supreme Commander, Endless Hunger, and Blightborn Infusion are also strong choices, but are typically found on pieces outside of BOD, barring Supreme Commander. The opener you will want to follow with Demonic Consumption running Demonic Strength is Precast Demon Bolt into Hand of Gul'dan, Soul Strike, Shadow Bolt, followed by Implosion. Then cast Shadow Bolt, call Dreadstalkers, and build back to 5 shards here. Once you're at 5 shards, you cast Hand of Gul'dan, Shadow Bolt or Soul Strike, Hand of Gul'dan, and at this point, if you have any remaining Soul Shards via Soul Conduit, you can toss those into one final Hand of Gul'dan, then Berserking, Balefire, and then summon your Demonic Tyrant. Once your Tyrant is out, you should immediately cast Hand of Gul'dan for a set of Imps, cast Demonic Strength, then a spell to fill a GCD, and Implosion right after to refresh your explosive potential. Outside of that, it's pretty much keeping Dreadstalkers on CD while maintaining EP and casting 3-shard Hand of Gul'dans. You will want to hold 2 Demonic Core procs when your Tyrant is coming back off CD so that you can sequence your Tyrant setup as building the 5 shards, Hand, Demon Bolt, Hand, Demon Bolt, Hand, and then Tyrant. If you're running Bombers over Demonic Strength, I typically cast Hand of Gul'dan after my Tyrant and then Bombers in that order. As far as pets go, your Felguard should pretty much always be the pet you use. He deals more damage than any other pet you have as Demonology, but the downside is that he does not bring with him an actual interrupt. If your group really needs one for a specific fight or encounter, then swapping to the Fel Hunter is an option, but you will lose out on a bit of damage as well as the functionality of the Soul Strike talent if chosen. There are also 2 glyphs that you can purchase to both change the appearance of your Felguard to a Wrathguard, as well as allow him to wield or dual wield, if he's a Wrathguard, 2-handed weapons that are in your bags. They are called Glyph of Wrathguard and Glyph of Felguard. Now as far as stat weights are concerned, the best way to tell where your own individual character is sitting is a raidbots.com top gear sim. It will take all of your current gear into account, as well as other options if selected, and give you the highest actual set you have available DPS wise. Stat weights fluctuate a bit between different characters and often shift a great deal when trying to compensate for one in a stat weight sim, so top gear is actually the way to go. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope this video helped you all get a firm grasp on Demonology in 8.1.5 and heading into Crucible of Storms. Let me know what you thought of it and your thoughts on current Demonology in the comment section below. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them there as well, and I'll be sure to get back to you. As mentioned, I will be releasing my Destruction and Affliction guides in the next week or so as well, so if you want to see those and help support the channel, smash those like, share, and subscribe buttons, as your support really helps. I'll also have a link to my Twitch in the description where you can acquire any of the weak auras or add-ons you've seen here. Thanks dudes, and I'll see you all again soon. Peace.